we should be live. Starting. Come on. Okay, I know it's working because my phone just buzzed with a notification that a channel I'm subscribed to, the Trinity Yugioh YouTube channel, started streaming. So, cool. Get rid of that. I set a delay for 60 seconds, and so you don't get to see me quite yet. But, oh, sorry. Siberian requests no audio. I like it. It's kind of nostalgic, but also apparently it's kind of loud, and sometimes it affects if I'm streaming with someone. Can't hear them. Though I haven't been with anyone recently, but it's also just because it's kind of hard to organize or plan. And, okay. They say the stream is offline. Gotta wait for the delay to go through. LOL. Making sure I wasn't pinged for anything important. Anyways, there's a game going on, and Meep started with a T-set, except he put them in the wrong zones because it's actually the right zone. Zones matter now. Rip my nostalgia. But it was Sangan, who's like the OG T-set monster, and Mono's opening with a pacifist and array. That's sort of interesting to activate the pacifist and then normal summon the array because he can't use the pacifist this turn. So like, I wouldn't put it past Mr. Dragon Ruler over here to be playing Raiko or something spicy to blow up that pacifist, but it wasn't, so no punish. And Ray's still a pretty good card. Get that double attack in due to the tag out effect, and get the Shizuku search after setting some stuff. Let's see what he grabs. There's like a handful of options, but I'm not sure how strong just the nuke stuff cards are. Like, there's one back row, but if this is chainable and he like searches, if he searches the one that targets, oh, there we go. I was like, that's probably not something real, because Dragon Rulers don't play a whole lot of back row that sits there until it blows you up for making a play. They play stuff that they can like fire off at inopportune moments. So it looks like he left the pacifist up, which is kind of interesting. And Mono already drew the Widow Anchor, which was, I would say, a prime search target for the Shizuku, because well, there's Hornet drones too. He still has Kagari and presumably the Wind one in the extra as well. But these link arrows mean that that's just a baby scapegoat for now. Or like, you could like link climb, I guess. Machine, warrior. I guess it's a nightmare. Oof. Galaxy Cyclone's really good for pacifist decks. Oh, the other heavy storm duster. Galaxy Cyclone's like really good versus pacifist in particular because it's like out of all the MST clones, it has a graveyard effect too, so you can just fire it off to hit something in the back row to force your playthrough, like you did here, and then also next turn have the graveyard effect to hit the face-up pacifist, which is pretty brutal. And speaking of the play, now that Meep cleared the way, he can go for Burner and Whitestone, which will trigger off of this in the end phase, into Blaster, who can't attack, but that's still one summon, so we'll see what this last card in hand is. I had a feeling that it was Flamvel Guard or another level 1 tuner, because he pitched one level 1 tuner instead of what else was in his hand, when he could have like held it to make Omega off the Blaster he summoned, and Omega's like nut busted, so... And he'll still get the Whitestone trigger in the end phase, like either way. I guess that one didn't really matter. He could have pitched the guard with the burner and then normal the Whitestone, but either way, oh, he's going for a hot red dragon Archfiend, I guess because he doesn't have the banish set up for the Omega. And this way, because he ashed the pacifist ad, he can nuke all the other stuff on the board. Yeah, so he can nuke the Shizuku and the token. He maybe didn't need to ash the pacifist because the traps can't be used when the pacifist player doesn't control normal monsters. But also this is a thing. That counts as activating an effect, and that's how it works. It's pretty spicy, actually. But he can hit over it. Let's see. Once per turn. Okay, so I guess that did turn out well. He ashed the activation, and now it couldn't activate this time, and then he can make sure that no more tokens are left floating on the board, which means now he's back on the general game plan of don't activate any effects until you clear the pacifist, which is like a really solid strategy, and honestly, like the main reason why pacifist can never be super broken. Like obviously it's a very good strong build around card, but when you can just like normal summon like dudes and never activate anything, and like it doesn't have a proactive enough game plan, so you can afford to like never activate anything until you have like an MST effect lined up. But yeah, so the Dragon Spirit can seal the deal on this pacifist, and he's still sitting on the Galaxy Cyclone for round 2, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 for the blaster here. So he can like beat face with the blaster and his current board over 2 turns and probably be good. Though if these two live, like he can maybe go into a rank 8. I know he's been talking up Felgrand as a really strong card. I'll check the chat for you, Siberian. Oh, it's a little delayed. Well, we'll see. Yeah, Galaxy is a great include. It's nuts. I remember siding it to great use versus Mono every time I've played him when he's on pacifist. It's like always in my sides or mains. Usually, like the main worthy ones, in my opinion, are the Heavy Storm Duster, Cosmic Cyclone, and Twin Twisters, and then the side-worthy ones are Galaxy Cyclone, MST, and any other ones, any other spell and trap hate that you want. Usually you want, like, a lot combined over main and side, though, because when you're against Dragon Rulers, they have no real back row, or at least very little, so you don't need that much spell and trap hate. But when you're against pacifists, they have a lot of real back row. Well, I guess the Jar and the Heavy Storm Dusters don't really count, but you know, you always need to have an answer to the pacifist. So that's how it works. Ray has a graveyard effect. I wonder if that's what they were thinking about. It's he couldn't use it though because he used pacifist as effect. It like floats when if a Sky Striker Link monster is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because an opponent's card effect, you can summon it back. But you can't summon effect monsters the turn that you use either of pacifist's effects, and Mono had summoned like 2 tokens that turn. So poor Ray. We know he's got the Hornet Bit though, so that might come in handy now that he doesn't have the pacifist and doesn't need to keep that in mind. So he can go like Hornet Bit, Kagari, and then when the Kagari dies, he can get back Ray and also get the Hayate. Or I guess the Hayate would make more sense because Ray can still quick tag into the Kagari from the extra, and the Hayate is like, it searches, but it can attack directly, and it searches if it deals battle damage, or something like that. But basically, this is still a game, even though Meep's the one with all the big dudes on board. That's interesting. I guess this took a little while to think about because he was deciding, do I use the Hornet Bit and make like a special summon play, or do I use this duality and dig for something spicy? These aren't, all of these are great cards, but nothing that really cracks this board, I guess. It's still a lot of damage. Like, yeah, you can banish one of them, but it's still bigger than anything you've got. So let's see what else he's going. Someone messaged me. What's the record? We just started, so this is game 1. Oh my gosh. What a saucy boy. Card of Demise. Really good. I agree. So he's got these two. One's Opabinia, or Olenoids? I can't remember. The Banished Paleo. And the other is the Hornet Bit. And then he drew exactly what he wanted. 2 more things to set in a monster when he hadn't used his normal. So, oof. So this is pretty rough. There's a lot of live and annoying cards in that back row. Are you impersonating me? Stop that. No. Also, I don't think I was. I was just talking. Maybe I shouldn't get into the habit of answering messages on Dueling Book when I'm trying to commentate. It's fun, though. But, I guess Ghost Ogre... Oh gosh, he put it back with the duality and then drew into it with the Card of Demise. It's not the best monster he could have drawn there, but it's not terrible. It jumps 2,500 worth of damage. Let him stall for a little longer. Okay. Oh, there we go. Scapegoat. I was just going to say, I think that we can safely presume that these none of them are Mirror Force, because that would have been a juicy Mirror Force. So it's Scapegoat, the Paleo, the Hornet Bit, and then 1 unknown, and then whatever he ripped off the top. But this is more than enough to go for some big boy Link shenanigans here and probably clear the board. But there's still that blaster sitting in grave, so... Still fairly close, though a lone blaster isn't too effective because you need assisting pieces to go into the extra deck and do anything other than get your 2,800 beats on, and 2,800 beats is good, but it's not amazing. It's not gonna crack huge boards or help you get through back row over, except for the fact that he just keeps coming back over multiple turns. Dinomishus. Nah, it's Dinomishus. Thank you for your valuable input. Oh, that's interesting. He opted to pitch the Fiendish Chain. I guess knowing he can get a draw and knowing that his controlling deck can play a bunch of Fiendish Chain impersonator cards that are Stop Attack or Negate Effect, which are 2 of the most important things that you need your control deck to be able to do. So, oh, or you can just rip a power card. That's kind of good too. So that's 3 summons. Link Karibo, Spider, and Serb, which means that that math does not line up, mister. That's a Link 1 and a level 8. Oh wait, he used the token too. Never mind, you're good. I guess he wanted to keep this code-linked monster, but if you play the TCG, you know those Goki boards. So, oh, that's a good card to have. What's he targeting? He can use Dinomishus to... Oh no, he doesn't have anything to pitch for it, so that means that he can't use it, which means the Hot Red can not nuke the board because it's protected from card effect destruction, but it can be a big annoying threat and hit over one of them because the Hornet Bit isn't going to do much to prevent that attack, and we saw the other back row wasn't anything live on attack declaration, or it's possible that Mono was just slow rolling it, knowing that losing your chump blocking face down Ghost Ogre isn't that much, because it was set it or pitch it for the Card of Demise anyways, and 3,000 life points is well within the comfortable zone when you're at just taking 3,000 when you're at 8,000. So doing that to try and slow roll your battle stopper traps is like well within reason. Let's see what else Meep's got though. He still has 2 summons left. It looks like he opted to just attack with the hot red. It can only be used during main phase 1, so he cannot actually destroy this Gaia Saber. But I guess he was possibly thinking about maybe a Torrential or something. He just didn't want to use the blaster right now. I'm not sure about that. We know he has the Hornet bit, and so he could use it. Yep. And Hornet drones, I guess. OCG names. Then he has a Widow Anchor in the grave, which means if he goes into Kagari, or this works too. That was also game. he had game in a couple ways, because he could have just pitched the card he drew to banish the hot red with the Dinomicious, or he could have gone back into Kagari to get back a Hornet, or not the Hornet bit, the Steel Yo Monster one, and that would have also been game. I think, unless it has a restriction like you have to have no. Yeah. So he would have had to do some weird link shenanigans. So no, this was the most straightforward and equally effective way, because it can attack directly. It's like Borbo memes again. But I did remember its effect from earlier. Let's check on the chat. Okay, it's a little late. Like, I can't interact directly, but it's nice to see that people are watching and having fun. And see someone watching directly. You should tune into the stream. I linked it in the Discord. Speaking of Discord, while they're signing, let's double check to see if I got any interesting pings. Nope. I just have to say, it's funny how the dueling book avatars are like old cards, because in Dueling Network they were like even older cards, but I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively before Madolche Magiline was released, so it's like, I don't know, part of me still thinks it's a new card, which is kind of funny in hindsight. Anyways, they're back in the game. So Red Eyes Fusion is a really good card to open, because like most of its restrictions aren't particularly relevant on turn 1. You don't need the tempo of making multiple summons per turn to crack your opponent's board, and you do need some sort of like big dude you can slam down who helps set up and apply pressure, which is exactly what Red Eyes Fusion does. So it's interesting that he sent Light Pulsar here, because if I remember correctly, one of the things we discussed at least was that Mana Dragon Xernitron is also a level 6 dragon that has a useful effect in the grave, so you can just send it with Red Eyes Fusion and get that like good setup. And I guess he opted not to. I can't remember from his deck list that I saw if he opted to play it or not, but if he's not on a lot of back row, it's not actually that useful, and I can understand how Light Pulsar would be better. But that's still like a fun, neat play that's possible. I'm listening to the stream as well. Aww. Have a early heart. You'll see me be like, aww, on stream in a little bit, I guess. But another thing about using Red Eyes Fusion turn 1 like that is a control deck like Pacifist, where you know they're just gonna set for turn 1. Like, sometimes they struggle with proactive ways to out a big dude like this, especially one who floats. So, gosh, you know, I wonder if it's like worth considering including like a dimensional prison or something, because this Mirror Force, while very strong, like, it still triggers the Comet Dragon float effect into this Black Flare, and the like Eclipse Wyvern wasn't exactly high pressure beats. I guess it's like 1600 isn't something to laugh at over multiple turns, but being able to use the Eclipse Wyvern banish effect. I wonder what targets he plays. Oh, yeah, Arc Brave. I was gonna say, like, Dark Armed and Red Eyes Darkness Metal were, like, the original targets, but I suppose all of the normal Red Eyes and also Arc Brave count. This isn't really a card you want in hand anyways, but, like, having it in hand means that it can be a fodder for a baby Dragon Ruler or something, and then when it's in grave where you want it to be, it's triggered. Its trigger effect goes off, so yeah. But a side effect of that floating is that means Meep activated a card, which means that Pacifist triggers, so he gets that token plus a trap that he can search. And even though this Black Flare Dragon is big enough to like pressure the token and force the trap, it's also just like not a particularly good situation to be in. It looks like one of the other things that's helpful when playing around pacifists is if they already control a token, they can't activate it again. Ooh, he drew the other trap, so he had the power set to negate the Armageddon Knight. But I was going to say, you can sort of think of it like a game of push and pull, where once they already have activated the token effect and have their token and gotten one search, then you can try and pressure them with as many effect activations as you need before you clear that token, so they don't actually make any advantage off the pacifist, like, while this thing's out. But unluckily for Meep, even though he could have, like, even though he saw that Mono searched the battle instead, he already set the power, which sometimes is, like, rough, because it's dead without a token, but it also, it's like, the fact that he drew it without searching it means that it wasn't telegraphed, and this poor Armageddon Knight got wrecked-a-ronied. I wonder what he was going to send. I suppose there are, like, plenty of good things, like a Dark Worm, but nothing immediately specific to this deck comes to mind. I guess Destrudo. It's technically a level 7 dragon, even though it never in practice is level 7, but the synchro options are nice. Normal summoning the flare. That's fun. You can't normal summon two things though. But the flare has a nice burn effect. He just realized that. At the end of the battle phase, you can just inflict burn damage equal to 2400, which is like, ouch, that's more than a third of his life. I sent you, well, thank you. I need to check on that at some point, but probably not on stream. Otherwise, I would dox your list. You probably don't want that. So it looks like he decided that he's sticking with normal summoning the Black Flare Dragon and trying to beat over this token, though he knows that it'll just get battled, and if last turn, he opted not to attack the token, I think that might have, it's not like technically a misplay, but it shows like a minor inconsistency in what you're trying to do. If you like the same, you know your opponent had the same out, and you didn't attack last turn, like you kind of want to stick with that. Or if you do think it's worth attacking this turn, then you probably should have attacked last turn. So it's just something to think about in the grander scheme of things. Like, what are you trying to do with this move? And I think if he was trying to force the use of this Phantasm Spiral battle, then attacking last turn would have been better. But like, I don't know. I don't know the rest of his cards in hand, so he might have drawn into or now have the ability to activate something that makes him want that battle gone in a way that he actually didn't. It wasn't as important last turn, so but like thinking about the consistency behind like the reason why you do your moves, like it's good to have a like long-term game plan for how you're going to win this. And usually with pacifists, the long-term plan is to leave them with no tokens, so their Phantasm Spiral cards are dead, and then try and like grind them out, either by removing the pacifist every time or killing the token every time. But another option, technically, is to run your opponent out of the Phantasm Spiral cards that they search, and then try and establish big dudes that are bigger than 2,000 and force your opponent to repeatedly answer them with back row. That's kind of interesting. The Tribute Summon Mana Dragon Zernatron. But, like, you can sort of see it now. Like, he was able to force Mono to use that battle to pop the Black Flare Dragon, because you can't use it if you don't control a token. But now that the battle is gone, Mono didn't have an immediate out to this Red Eyes Darkness Metal, even though it's just 2,400 defense. Like, yeah, it's a Fiendish Chain, but it shows that the tide can swing. It's still like Link Fodder, or Meat can go for Phoenix and pop the chain, and even though Mono gets a token here, like, repeated 2,000 beats are not particularly impressive compared to repeated, like, 2,800 beats of a blaster. So, like, you know, if you can make your opponent who's playing a control deck to try and commit to beating you in this beatdown-based game because they don't have immediate outs to your big dragons, like, you'll win that as the Dragon Ruler player. This has been... oh. Sorry if anyone's annoyed by the message notifications on stream. I remember watching, like, YouTubers who sometimes do that, and it's alright though. So it looks like he opted to go for Nightmare Cerberus instead, because presumably more scary back row. That's sort of interesting. I guess getting rid of the Zernatron at effectively no cost, because pitching a Skarm is nice, is like worth it, and the Sangan trigger. So it's like, even though popping the Fiendish Chain and getting it answered, like, actually, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think that's what I would have done in that situation at all, because he literally just resummons the token, because activating Nightmare Cerberus counts as activating effect, and Pacifist's summon a token effect happens on a new chain afterwards, and so because when that new chain is being formed, there's no token on board, it can resummon a token, even though it's usually only once per turn. It looks like you used the Sangan to search a Ghost Ogre to answer this Pacifist in the future, but if he was just going to pitch the Skarm to, like, trigger Skarm effects and get another tour guide, he could have at least pressured Mono with the Fiendish Chain. Even though he was at the summon limit, like, at least getting a Red Eyes Black Flare, even if it could have gotten a Light Pulsar, would have been, like, maybe forced another back row, whereas, like, popping the token to have the token resummoned is, like, not particularly effective. But we'll see. It might not end up mattering, because Meep's still got another tour guide, the Ghost Ogre, and Mono is clearly struggling to out this Red Eyes Darkness Metal. I'm guessing, I think it's a safe bet that neither of these are Scapegoat or Hornet Bit or Hornet Drones, because if they were, he would be using them to make a Link play instead of using a Ghost Ogre from hand and a Mana Dragon Zernatron. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, considering that these are probably real back row of some kind at least, and not like token summoners. But it looks like the Serb still managed to out this Darkness Metal, but like it's still pretty telling that he had to use the Fiendish Chain to stop it, and then also had to use a Serb to then clear the way. And pitching in Olenoids is like not that's like actually kind of good because you want it in Grave and it's not going to get particularly much use in this matchup. But it's still like it's still telling for how you want to think about how you can beat pacifists. Like there's only they can only play one battle, and battle is the like main way for them to clear monsters. Powers has like an attack reduction effect too, but like these are the in-engine ways to clear monsters. And when your opponent doesn't have those in-engine ways to clear monsters, either because they used them and they're in the grave, or because they can't use them due to like not having all normal monsters or not having any normal monsters, that you can like focus your efforts onto clearing their actual real back row. This card's a good card. I like it. It's interesting. You can just equip the Archbrave, though currently it's banished by the Eclipse Wyvern, and Archbrave has a graveyard effect, which means that normal summoning a Paladin of Felgrand is effectively threatening an Archbrave graveyard effect. And even if it's not like getting a level 7 dragon type monster from deck, is that should give any Dragon Ruler player heart palpitations. However, I believe the ruling in this situation is that because it's not if he uses Paladin Chainlink 1, which it is because it's on normal summon, then Chain's Torrential Tribute. Looks like it was a real back row as I predicted. Then there's no legal place for it to equip, so it stays in deck, which means that this cannot actually be a nice free put a blaster in grave, though it would be nice. But like, yeah, this card's good because it's like also incidentally unaffected by monster effects, which is like that matters versus some decks. And the tribute effect is really good if you're like playing Gofu or something. It gives you more flexibility to get back like this bad boy who is a level 8 dragon monster. So yeah. We know he still has the Ghost Ogre and the Tour Guide in hand, and Mono is sitting on a Pacifist, which is like fine, obviously, but is cleanly answered by the Ghost Ogre, so he might not be in too great of a position here with just those two remaining back row. I wonder if they're asking about ruling questions. Ruling questions. Judge. I agree that it does not, because there's no legal place for the... It does not, because... Yeah, this is better backup. Because of rulings on Thousand Eyes, Restrict, and Book of Moon. Yeah, no. Yeah, because, like, if they activate a Thousand Eyes and you chain Book of Moon in response, the Thousand Eyes goes face down and the monster stays on the board. It isn't equipped and then goes to the grave. And that was an important thing to know in GOAT format. So, yeah. Hopefully that will sort that out, and they can continue. And it looks like they did, and it looks like Mono attempted to activate Pacifist and got that Ghost Ogre. So, we'll see. It's still a pretty close game, but considering that Mono's deck is, as much as you can measure steam, air quotes, in Pacifist with the Phantasm Spirals, both of his good search targets are in grave, so that kind of matters. 3 dragons in grave, like not counting those other 3, which means that it's in a sense just a matter of time until he gets to one of his dragon rulers and like can really start pressuring Mono, because like each individual dragon ruler is effectively like as many cards as you have dragons to banish in a grind game, and Mono's just drawing one per turn. So here's hoping he gets that card of demise, which is exactly 3 cards as in one card, compared to like Blaster's very possibly also 3 cards in one card. But Whitestone of Ancients is another good one, because it effectively, like, even using 1 for 1, having the Red Eyes Black Dragon in hand doesn't matter. That's like, you don't care if you're pitching that, because it wasn't doing anything in hand anyways. But getting a Blue Eyes on board with the Whitestone using the Link Karibo is, like, all of a sudden he's pressuring Mono again, and it looks like one of the back row wasn't even a real back row, it was just terraforming. So, and Pacifist, like I was talking about this earlier, like, once the power and battle are gone, Pacifist doesn't actually represent a real threat to Blue Eyes, because the tokens are only 2,000 and you can't do like crazy Link shenanigans because of the like restrictions on summoning effect monsters. So it's just like pretty rough. And as we can see, like, he's really digging for real cards here, begging for that card of demise. And he'll probably have like a turn or two to try and dig for it, unless all of these are like bricks. But that is not a brick. That is pretty good. This is like teching Sky Strikers in a deck like Pacifist is specifically because Sky Strikers give you a proactive game plan in these situations. Like, even if he had like a Pacifist up and Meep just was sitting on a Blue Eyes, like, the Blue Eyes will win that battle because you don't have to activate anything. Meep's in the driver's seat this game. He's the one with this powerful engine of destruction on board. And so playing Sky Strikers in a deck like this gives Mono the option to like respond to the pressure that a Blue Eyes puts out, specifically with attacking the Link Karibo, making it use its effect, then tagging into Hayate, attacking directly and being able to search one of the removal spells for the Blue Eyes. And then this game will have swung back in Mono's favor until Meep gets one of his Dragon Rulers. Yep, so there's the Hayate. It doesn't actually search, but it sends, and then you can Kagari search. So it sort of searches from deck, because you can send to grave, and then Kagari adds from grave to hand. So I guess I wasn't quite right last game about its full effect, but that's alright. It's pretty, like, scary how much an individual card can do. It looks like he's going for the Widow Anchor. Interesting. I guess he's going to try and, like, end the game instead of just popping the Blue Eyes, or it's possible that he doesn't play the pop Sky Striker spell, or yeah, he actually doesn't. He doesn't have the spells in grave necessary for the double hit, for the like double effect, which means that he might play the MST Sky Striker spell that, when with a full grave, doubles as monster removal, but not the other one, who is primarily monster removal but doubles as an MST with more spells in grave. So it's alright though. Even hitting over this Kagari still just gets the Ray back. So, and even though Meep can use the chicken game to try and dig for a Dragon Ruler, it's all of a sudden things have swung around. Though I still I maybe am updating my evaluation of this back row. Like, it's sat dead on board for a fairly long time, which makes me think that it's probably like a heavy storm duster or something that we haven't seen him have the opportunity to use yet, even though we've seen Meep like summon dudes from the extra deck and use effects and normal summon things. But yeah, so you see he even flipped the new card that he drew, Breakthrough Skill, before flipping this, so that you can use that to sort of think about how you want to prioritize your spell and trap removal. Like, this is the one that hasn't been useful for the past while, and this one is fresh, so it may be useful. And so, or like this one, which, as it turns out, was a Breakthrough Skill. Red Eye's Insight. What's he got for... Oh, nice. He has Red Eye's Wyvern. So this is pretty good in grind game situations because during your end phase, if you didn't normal summon or set, you can summon a Red Eye's monster. So that's like threatening a Red Eye's Darkness Metal, and it's like really slow. But once upon a time, the TCG was slow enough for Disaster Dragons to be a real deck. Before RADMD was limited, people would just play like 3 Red Eye's Wyvern and stuff. This was before even the Chaos Dragon structure deck. But I guess just beating in with this Blue Eyes is all that he's going to do for now. He can set the Red Eyes Spirit, and then we'll see if this is like a heavy Storm Duster or something, or if I wasn't correct. But even though Mono can summon back the Ray here, it's not like a huge victory. It's like you took a little bit of damage, but you didn't go minus. The only thing is the Ray might not be the most useful, because all he has left in extra is a Shizuku. So, still getting the tag out in the search. We'll see what other Sky Striker stuff he plays, other than the, whatchamacallit, the one that's set, that is this one. So it looks like he does play the Afterburners, which is the destroy a monster that then also destroys a spell or trap, which is useful now that Meep has a set Red Eye Spirit, but I think he's still only on 2. So, at least the chicken game, Meep paying for the chicken game is... Oh, there we go. It was a spell and trap removal spell, which was exactly what my updated prediction had said, even though it was a Cosmic Cyclone, not a Heavy Storm Duster. But that matters, because that's a 3rd spell. So now he gets the take with the... whatchamacallit, you know, the one that's a grappling hook that he searched. So, I think Mono's actually trying to figure out whether or not he has game here, because he could have used Chicken Game to destroy itself to make sure that he could get through the damage. But if you do it right, you can, like, going down to 1700, Meep can still be taken from 1800 or more to 0, like, without having the damage be prevented by Chicken Game's effect here. So we'll see. Pacifist isn't exactly known for super strong proactive plays, but especially now that all of his Sky Striker extra deck monsters are done. So, like, I guess a Hornet Drone's into a Link 2, but the tour guide was normal summoned. And then taking the Blue Eyes. Well, we'll see. Surprise me with what's in your hand, Mono. Looks like he's just gonna do the easy thing of destroying the Blue Eyes and then saving the other Sky Striker card. Let's see what the chat's saying. Am I getting anything wrong? That's one of the good things about having a chat, but no one was screaming at me, so I don't think I did anything too terrible. But yeah, I suppose that having the Cosmic Cyclone for the Red Eyes Spirit and being able to search the Afterburners to answer the Blue Eyes. Like, Meep does not have a lot going for him and basically needs to draw a Dragon Ruler within the next couple turns or he'll lose, because this Red Eyes Wyvern is too slow, especially when you know your opponent has the Sky Striker Steelio monster card up their sleeve. So it looks like he has Sangan, which is like a useful card because you can use it to go for link plays. But in this situation, you can ram it with the Tour Guide to get a little bit more damage through. And it looks like he's decided to play defense for this turn and then maybe go for game next turn, getting the Sangan search. I'm going to guess. No, his Ghost Ogre's in grave. Yep, DD Crow. I was going to say he's going to search a hand trap because he already knows that he's like almost representing lethal just on this board because he has the Meep has solo life. And the DD Crow like answers almost anything that Meep could top deck into. Like the Red Eyes Wyvern is just giving Mono a card to kill Meep with, like. But I suppose like a baby Dragon Ruler or a Dragon Ruler plus something else could still result in some sort of play. So let's see it. It's pretty rough that this like Mana Dragon Xernatron's been pressuring Meep's ability to try and answer any of these back row, but so far at least he hasn't had any spell or trap removal, or if he has, he's been sitting on it. Okay, so the fact that he like did just draw 2 cards with his draw for turn and chicken game, but the fact that he just drew and looked at his hand and set 2, and I'm not sure what else he's gonna do this turn, but usually setting 2 and passing, yeah, is what you do. My guess is that these are bluffs that he's just setting because he's a good player and it's better to set them than to not when you're in a desperate situation. But like the fact that like I know that he knows to do that makes me less likely to fear these, especially knowing his deck. And it looks like I don't know whether or not this is problem-solving card text, but it doesn't say target, so this DD Crow might not have been as useful as Mono hoped, because, yeah, it looks like he just had to fire it off at the Red Eyes, and then Meep, on resolution, still got the Darkness Metal, but, oof. This is probably still game, yeah. Oh. Maybe not. Super Team Buddy Force, pretty good. It can target monsters on either player's side of the field, which means that summoning a monster with the same original type but a different name is like any of these dragons, which should be enough to chump for long enough. And it looks like Mono got his Olenoides, though Meep also has his own Olenoides now, which he can summon like another dude to block off of this Super Team Buddy Force. But, whew, living on the edge, drawing with that chicken game there. 700 life points. There's sort of like a fun situation that you can get into where neither player has enough life to pay to destroy the chicken game to kill like the other, or like where the leading player doesn't have enough life to pay to destroy the chicken game to kill the other. Oof. He technically has a target for it too. Excuse me, let's take in a drink. Oh, it's like Meep is still thinking about how to use this Super Team Buddy Force Unite because it can fetch a dragon, and the biggest, floatiest dragon is the Meteor Black Comet Dragon. But Mono can now revive the Xernatron and put game pressure on, and still have his Sky Striker card in the wings. So we'll see how this turn plays out. It's pretty scary. Let's see what the chat's saying. Oh yeah, the Shizuku has a reduction effect, but it's only at like, I guess minus 500 now. So wasn't a huge swing. Looks like he's now using that Shizuku to make a link play. Interesting. I guess he'll just force the use of Buddy Force right now, because you may as well. Lost wind, though. I guess he would only do that if he's certain that he can make this game, like, right now. Or... yeah, so it looks like Meep did just get the biggest, meanest dude. He probably should have summoned Olenoids there, but I'm not actually sure. Maybe Mono can eke out some piercing damage or something. But as long as there's a monster in the main monster zone, he can't use the steel. So it looks like he's just yeah, so that's 2 summons now. Oh, this might just be game anyways. He didn't need it. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have anything to pitch. So now he's just... he did that to clear main monster zones, and then he'll swipe. Yeah, so even summoning the Olenoids off of the Buddy Force activation wouldn't have done it. Because this Widow Anchor, finally, I get its name. I knew it was set there for like ever. But, oof, yeah. Good games. And Mono takes it handily. That was a little sad, though, not seeing any Dragon Rulers that game. But still, it was like a really good game. Really back and forth, and barely clutching it out with this Widow Anchor at 700 life points. So, I'll check the chat once again, and I believe this will wrap up this feature match. So, don't stay groovy. I can't say it like Treetop does. I'll just say, bye. And, come on.